This is a presentation of BSRN, Box Studios Radio Network. The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here is your host of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for May 4th, 2025. This is season 14, episode number 65, and this is episode number 504 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Bob Howard. Thank you so much for listening. And wow, we're just like one game away, one win away. This seems like deja vu to me, and I don't know how to better explain the feeling. Then it feels like we've been through this before. Oh, because we have. Basically, the Black Bears have basically repeated what they did in the playoffs last year, except for maybe a little bit of a hiccup there in the Port Huron game one of Port Huron, losing that game 3-0. That's the only thing that just feels different. Otherwise, they've done what they said they were going to do from the beginning. And I wrote about that this past weekend, about how the Black Bears have really they kept their promise, really. And their promise was to get to the finals and potentially win a championship. And they're that close to that right now. And I got a couple pieces of audio that I want to play for you from October 9th of 2024. Okay. Now, October 9th of 2024 was when we had media day at the arena. Okay, so it was myself and Tommy Turgan from Fox 40 and Bruce from 34, and I think it was Zach maybe from Channel 12, and we were sitting there and we talked to a couple of the players. I think it was Jesse Anderson and, of course, Brant Sherwood and Tyson Kirkby, right? And I think I spoke to Andreas Johansson that day as well. And we talked about, obviously, the upcoming, season, right, that was about to happen. And one of the first pieces of audio that I want to play for you guys, right, is what Brant Sherwood said about potentially winning another championship, because he didn't know that anybody in the league had not played or won a championship back-to-back in this league. Here's what he had to say.
I have not, but Andreas, he sure did. He let our boys know that there's never been a repeat championship in this league's existence. So that's something we're gunning for, maybe a little extra motivation, but we're the top dogs, and we want to be there, we want to stay there, and we want to repeat.
And so he didn't know, but they are the top dogs, and they have kind of repeated that mentality. And if you don't know Brant Sherwood, you would think, well, that sounds cocky, that sounds overconfident, and, you got to play the games on the ice. And he knows that. But there's another aspect to Brant Sherwood that I don't think people really give him credit for. And part of that is, realistically, he believes in culture. He believes in changing the culture like he did in the locker room to really bring out the best of people and to play together as a team. And when we talk about Zach Sirota in just a little bit, this is the epitome of exactly what I'm talking about and what he's talking about here. This, again, from October 9th of 2024 on Media Day. Here's Brant Sherwood talking about this exact thing that we're going to talk about when it comes to Zach Sirota in just a few minutes.
Honestly, the new guys that come in, it kind of falls in line, and it's this culture that we've built over, the past year and a half, 2 years. It kind of takes care of itself. I learned a lot when I first got in here, and I found out that, good people over talent all day. You want guys that want to work together. You want guys that accept their roles even though they might not agree with it, just for the betterment of the team. So our culture is great. Everyone's coming in positive to the rink each day and ready to work. And for the young guys, they're trying to move up the lineup, and they necessarily don't want to be a first or second liner somewhere else. They want to be on a winning team and a winning culture. So we're very lucky for the recruits that we brought in, and we're very lucky to have the returners coming back.
So think about that for a second. If you think about what he said there, some of these guys don't want to be first or second liners on another team. They want to win here, right? You could talk about Chris Mott, right? He didn't play in the first couple games in the playoffs, and then he gets inserted in, and he makes a ton of contributions that most of you are not going to see on the score sheet. You're not going to look at the Fed website and go, oh, Chris Mott had 15 assists, or he did this, or he did that. No, he was doing things on the ice that provided what the players also needed that were on other lines, right? The rest, the confidence to know that he's going to go out there. Zach Sirota scored a goal because he didn't give up on a play, regardless of it being onsides or offsides, which you can debate all day long, and people are going to talk about that one play and how it probably changed the series a little bit. And that's probably true to some degree, right? But Carolina didn't score anymore. Binghamton didn't score anymore. So that goal is a big emphasis. The point here is this. Zach Sirota has turned into this rat, right? It's something that even Coach Sherwood calls him the rat, right? Because when he goes out there on the ice, he provided him, just like Emerson Emery. Emerson Emery provided the skill set to be able to go out there and play defense, play offense, do whatever was needed by Coach Sherwood. Whatever the team needed, he was out there doing it. Zach Sirota turned into the rat, to the instigator, to the guy who goes out there and just gets under the skin of every single person. But then he doesn't give up on that one play in game 2. And what does he do? He scores the game-winning goal. And you have to understand that until you hear the whistle in football, you just keep playing. And no matter what happened at the blue line, offsides, not offsides, it doesn't really matter. He went and he scored it. And the culture on this team is huge. It's the reason why they are now at the point where they have the chance to win another Commissioner's Cup. Culture. That's a big thing, right? Repeating. That is a big thing. They talked about it in the beginning. They talked about it on Media Day. And I wanted to play that for you guys because we're just 5 days, 6 days away, depending on when you're listening to this show, maybe 4 days away from them winning another championship on Friday night. It's possible. Now, Carolina might come out there and, take advantage of a mistake or two and win game 3, forcing game 4. Now, if they force a game 4 and the Black Bears win game 4, they win the championship 365 days to the date of winning the Commissioner's Cup last year on May 10th. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. And I think everybody is going to have a great time on Friday night. I think it's going to be a sellout. Tickets are already going fast. So if you haven't gotten your tickets now, you better get them fast because it is going to be a crazy, crazy day. All right. The Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcast, and please subscribe. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. We just got over 900 people in that group. Thank you so much. I really want to be by this time next year at 2,000. I think we can do it. I think there's 2,000 people out there that follow, that like the Binghamton Black Bears, and of course the FPHL that could listen to this show. So check out Power Play Post Show on Facebook group and check that out. Check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. And on this edition of the Power Play Post Show, using the new equipment that I have here, that I got to the sound pad that I allowed you guys to hear some of that audio a lot easier than normal. We're going to also use this same new hardware that I have. Hopefully this sounds good. Hopefully you guys have a good listening experience because of this new piece of equipment that I have. But we recorded with this with Gary Ryan from the Fed League Flash. So that's going to be the guest later on. And hopefully the sound quality is even better than just having a regular phone call. Okay, so let's get into this. The Binghamton Black Bears took both games down in Winston-Salem on Friday and Saturday night. Sounds like deja vu all over again, right? May 2nd, 2025, Commissioner Cup Finals, Game 1, Binghamton Black Bears at the Carolina Thunderbirds. Start time was 7:35. I think they actually got the game off around 7:41. That was at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds Arena. All right, in the first period, Kyle Steffen scored his first goal of the postseason, getting the Black Bears a one-goal lead early, scoring 3:33 into the first period. Trading places, Kyle Steffen then got the puck to Gavin Yates. Gavin Yates got the puck to Kyle Steffen in the first goal, who scored the Black Bears' second goal of the game under 3 minutes later. So within 6 minutes, the Black Bears were already up. I think it was like 6:38 or 6:19, something like that. They got the Black Bears were already up 2-0 down in Winston-Salem. Now the Thunderbirds then scored their first goal of the finals at the 8:34 mark into the period with Zach White's third goal of the playoffs, making this a 2-1 game, 2-1 Binghamton lead. And nobody knew at this point that this was going to be the last time that the Thunderbirds were going to score a goal so far in this series. Now, scratched in the game for the Black Bears was Nolan Egbert, Emerson Emery, Luke Dobles, Anthony Barnardo, Nicholas Poirier, Josh Fletcher, and of course, Cam Cervoni is injured. Starters for the Binghamton Black Bears in this game was Gavin Yates, Kyle Steffen, Donald Oliveri, Jesse Anderson, Dan Weber, and Connor McAnanima. Starters for Carolina was Roman Kramer, Gus Ford, Zach White, James Farmer, Jordan Gagnon, and Mario Cavallari. Gavin Yates was the key to the first Black Bears goal, coming in deep before handing it off to Steffen to finish it off. The Steffen Yates Oliveri line has been the best line for the Black Bears these playoffs, and they have continued that in the finals. The Thunderbirds' first goal was off a 2-on-1 play, which have seen the Black Bears give up many times this season. Weber was without a stick. He lost the stick, or the stick got broken, and he was trailing back. He was in position, but he had no stick, so he really couldn't do much on the play. Let's see here. After the third goal was scored in the period at the 8:34 mark of the first period, the two teams went back and forth in each other's zones, but neither was able to score another goal. A good period for both teams, with the Black Bears coming out on top with a one-goal lead and a lead in shots category as well. Shots on goal in the first period, Binghamton 14, Carolina 12. In the second period, after another turnover for the Thunderbirds in their own zone, Blake Tosto makes them pay with the second goal of the playoffs, with his second goal of the playoffs, 5:36 into the middle of the period, making this a 3-1 game. Black Bears have made the Thunderbirds pay on two turnovers in the Carolina defensive zone, scoring 2 of the 3 goals. Tosto would have had a beautiful primary assist, 9:26 into the middle period, but Nick Swain was not able to cash in on a very open net as the puck bounced up and over the net. That could have been the third goal, or actually the fourth goal of the game right there. Then the Thunderbirds came right back after a 2-on-1 chance themselves, similar to the goal they scored in the first period, but Kramer was not able to connect with Ford. Clark, Tosto, and Swain line was so good in the middle period. I mean, they were just really good, just really getting deep and doing different things. Schnapps kept going after Weber, hits and trying to get him agitated, but Weebs was not biting. First penalty of the game came at 19:33 of the second period. A delay of game assessed to Jesse Anderson and the Black Bears. Nobody knew at that point it was going to be the only penalty of the game. However, the Black Bears came in before the end of the period with a short-handed chance, which saw about 3 chances for the Black Bears, but Mario Cavalieri was saving everything at this point. Shots on goal, Binghamton 7, Carolina 10. So they outshot the Black Bears in that period. Totals at this point was Binghamton 22 and Carolina 21. And you're going to find that in this series so far, the shots on goal have been very similar. Okay, third period. The Thunderbirds again turn over in their own zone, this time allowing the puck onto the stick of Tyson Kirkby, scores his third goal of the playoffs with 3:15 left to go in the period. And he had a very good celly there. Now, maybe people didn't like the celly, but if you don't know what's going on in Tyson's life, then don't judge him. He was very happy, and the point to the stands, I believe his family, his mother and his father were there, so he was definitely happy to be able to score in front of them. The Black Bears take game one down in Winston-Salem by the score of 4-1. Game 2 would have been was on Saturday night at 6 p.m. All right, third period notes. Black Bears started 133 on the penalty kill for the Anderson delay of game penalty that happened at the end of the second period. Black Bears killed the only penalty so far in the game and allowed 2 shots, a man down. Connor McAnanima had to make some pretty big saves as the Thunderbirds' John Butita with 1 shot and Jordan Gagnon with 3 shots put a lot of pressure just 8 minutes and 30 seconds into the period. The Black Bears played well defensively in the third period. The Thunderbirds' chances were thwarted by the Black Bears positioning on the ice. I just felt like the Black Bears just played the best defense we'd seen in these last 2 games, right? Connor McAnanima was the best player on the ice for the Black Bears. Stefan and Yates had a lot of chances and got 2 through. Shots on goal in the third period, Binghamton 15, Carolina 13 totals. Binghamton 36, Carolina 35. And you have to think that after the Black Bears beat them, that there was going to be a change in the way the Carolina Thunderbirds were going to play game 2. And I do think you saw a change in the way they did play the game. But again, it almost seemed like the more that they changed the way they played their game, the Black Bears were just able to adjust. They were able to make adjustments that maybe Carolina wasn't able to do. So let's recap real quick. Game 1. Black Bears take game 1 of the finals off a strong effort from CMAC 4-1. Kyle Stephan scored his first goal of the playoffs and assisted on another goal, which was the Gavin Yates goal. And Gavin Yates scored his 4th goal of the playoffs and assisted on another. That was the Kyle Stephan goal. They both had a 2-point night. Blake Tosto scored his 2nd goal of the playoffs, and Tyson Kirkby scored his 3rd goal of the playoffs. And Connor McAnanima earned his 12th career playoff victory, saving 34 of 35 shots. And his numbers are just ridiculous in these playoffs. We'll talk more about those this upcoming Thursday. Now, May 3rd, 2025, Commissioner Cup Finals, Game 2, Binghamton Black Bears at Carolina Thunderbirds down in the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds Arena. That game started just shortly after 6:05. Now, in the first period saw no scoring, 3 successful penalty kills for the Black Bears, and a feisty start to the game between the 2 teams. Now, scratched in this game was Nolan Egbert, Emerson Emery, Luke Dobles, Anthony Bernardo, Nicholas Poirier, and Josh Fletcher. Essentially, the Black Bears went with the same lineup as they had in game 1, which is no surprise. The starters for the Black Bears, Yates, Stephan, Oliveri, Anderson, and Weber, and Connor McAnanima, okay? However, the Carolina Thunderbirds went a totally different route, all right? They started John Butita, Nick Keeley, Dawson Baker, Joe Kennedy, James Farmer, and of course, Boris Babic was in net instead of Mario Cavalieri. And if you actually listened to Coach Harry's show or watched the show on YouTube, you know that he and Brendan talked about the fact that they could play Boris Babic, and they decided to do that after the loss here against the Black Bears in Game 1. They go with Game 2 with Boris Babic. Now, Zach White ran into Connor McAnanima at the 2-minute mark of the first period. A scrum happened, and then C-Mac let White know about his displeasure. The Thunderbirds are clearly going to be more physical, and honestly, they needed to be, to get into the grill of C-Mac a little bit, right? Because that's really going to be the one thing that you can do to try to rattle him, because he is literally unrattleable. It's just crazy how that is. Now, Zach Sirota gets a slashing. Now, the first penalty of the game came much quicker than in this game than the Friday night's game, with a slashing call assessed to Kyle Steffen at the 3:43 mark of the first period. Zach Sirota gets a slashing call at the 8:14 mark. So far, no penalties on the Thunderbirds in this series, and the Black Bears have killed both penalties in the game. Dan Weber then gets tagged with a high-sticking call at the 15:04 mark. The Black Bears still killed that penalty as well. Connor McAnanama had a huge save on Gus Ford at the 18:41 mark as he came in all alone in front. And Connor did that multiple times in these first two games. Just big save after big save after big save. And that's probably one of the things I probably should have clipped as well, audio-wise, was just Connor. Because I think it's a great statement that he made about, listen, either block the shot yourself or get out of my way so I can see it. At the end of the period, the Black Bears get their first power play off of the series as Jordan Gagnon gets tagged with interference at the 20-minute mark. The Black Bears still start the second period so the Black Bears will start the second period on the power play. Shots on goal was Binghamton 12, Carolina 17. Now, in the second period, Zach Sirota gets the Black Bears on the board first with his first power play goal of his career 7 minutes into the middle period, giving the Black Bears a 1-0 lead. And that was all the scoring, obviously, in the game. With Jordan Gagnon in the box for interference, the Black Bears get their first power play of the series, starting the period on the man advantage, just 23 seconds into the penalty kill for the Thunderbirds. And Zach White gets tagged for a delay of game penalty, giving the Black Bears some 5-on-3 play time. Then Gus Ford then gets tagged with a high sticking call. And the first 4 minutes of the second period, the Black Bears were on the power play, but they could not score. Now, Zach Sirota's goal was the best example of a player following the play and waiting for the right time to take the shot when he went past Babbitt. 24 seconds after the Sirota goal, Dakota was sent to the penalty box for delay of game penalty. Again, the puck over the glass. But the Bears killed it, and the Thunderbirds' fourth man advantage of the game. With 2:40 left to go, a puck dangerously went through McAnanama's crease, but luckily no Thunderbird player was there, and C-Mac was able to get rid of it. And I think it just kind of skated past, and he just probably tagged it a little bit to get it going a little bit further. The Black Bears get more shots on goal in that period. They come in spurts, but I would say both teams equally controlled the period. No one converted on the power play as Sirota has the lone point in the game as this points with 7 minutes with that dirty goal. Shots on goal for Binghamton 19, Carolina 14, totals Binghamton 31, Carolina 31 through 40 minutes of play. Now, in the third period, just like the first period, the third period was left scoreless, and the Black Bears win the game 1-0, take a 2-0 lead in the finals, and have a chance to win their second straight Commissioner's Cup on Friday night in Binghamton. Notes from the third period, not many here because this was just a back and forth period with play between both teams. With the Thunderbirds still down by 1 goal, Dawson Baker commits a second-hand slash on Dan Stone and gets sent to the sin bin at the 11:27 mark of the period. Ford did get a shorthanded chance, and the puck rolled off his stick before getting the shot off. With less than 5 minutes left to go in the game, Dan Weber had a big block as the Thunderbirds were trying to pass in front of Connor McAnanama. Carolina pulls Boris Babbitt at the 17:37 mark of the third period, being down 1-0 and possibly going down 2-0 in the series. The Black Bears did everything they needed to play well defensively. Both teams played well on the blue line, and there were chances for both. But both McAnanama and Babbitt were great. C-Mac, 6 wins, 4 shutouts, crazy save percentage and goals against average. MVP of the playoffs for sure at this point. Shots on goal, Binghamton 12, Carolina 11, Binghamton 43, Carolina 42. And C-Mac saved 42 shots in this game. I mean, this was just a crazy game. It was so good. It was probably even better than the first game that they played in the middle of the season when they beat them 1-0 as well. I just thought the play was exceptional on both sides. Just exceptional. All right, so what's the wrap up on this game? Black Bears shut out Thunderbirds 1-0 to take a 2-game lead in the finals. Zach Sirota scored his first goal of the playoffs and the game-winning goal. And let's see here. Connor McAnanama saved all 42 shots he saw, earned his 6th win, and fourth shutout in the series. And the Black Bears take a 2-0 lead in the series with a chance to win the Commissioner's Cup next Friday in Binghamton. So what is the schedule? Here is the schedule. Game 3, Friday at the Visions Veterans Memorial Arena at 7 p.m. Game 4 is Saturday at the Visions Veterans Memorial Arena, 7 p.m. if needed. So if the Black Bears win on Friday night, that is it. 2 games down in Winston-Salem, 1 game in Binghamton. Game 5, if needed, will be Sunday at the Visions Veterans Memorial Arena at 6 p.m. I personally don't think you're going to see a Game 5. If you do, it's because of a collapse by the Binghamton Black Bears, and I just don't see that happening at this point. Now, I do want to comment one more time about the Zach Sirota goal. I know that there are fans out there that are upset. I know there are fans that are saying, oh my God, they didn't call enough penalties. The Black Bears were getting away with this. The Black Bears were getting away with that. I don't think that's the case at all in this case. I think both sides got away with a few things here and there, but this was some of the cleanest hockey we've seen in a long time by both teams involved here. They were both very clean hockey games. Why is it when we play against Carolina, we play against teams like Columbus, the games are clean and just very respectful? Well, that's because other teams feel that they need to play a certain way against Binghamton, and that just, Binghamton's not going to back down. They're going to take the teams, to their limits as well. They're going to fire back. If you want to play good, clean hockey, Binghamton will do that. If you don't, then Binghamton will fire back. And sometimes they fire back a little bit more aggressively than you fired at them. And so what happens? It gets them into a little bit more trouble. But about the offsides, again, I don't think the league has a way to really review that. The 4 officials talked about it. The one linesman said it was onside. You have to kind of go with that. If the league wants to go into the future and find a way to be able to review it, that's fine. But the video that we saw on both feeds wouldn't have proved one way or the other, and you still would have been going with what the linesman said. So that's pretty much it. Obviously, we are going to preview the upcoming 3 games. Well, potentially 1 game, potentially 2 games, potentially 3 games. We don't know, right? That will happen at the Visions Veterans Memorial Arena. Games 3 on Friday. We're going to have another show out on Thursday. And we'll obviously have a couple guests. We're working on a couple really cool guests I think that everybody's really going to enjoy. And hopefully we'll get you all ready. I want to now send it over to my interview with Gary Ryan. Now, of course, I got this new equipment here. It's going to sound a little bit differently for the interview. I hope it sounds good. Please let me know. Please leave a response. And, if you're listening on Spotify, you can leave a little comment and say, hey, everything sounds good. No, everything sounds out of whack. Change it back, whatever. But give me some feedback. That would be great. Thank you to the 900 fans that are now part of the Facebook group. I really do appreciate that. It's great that we've built this thing up, and it's me and you, the fans. I really appreciate that. And I got some really cool stuff planned for Taylor and I going into next season for our coverage of the Binghamton Black Bears. I have some stuff that we're going to work on over the summertime and get ready for you guys, which will be very cool as well. So hopefully this new equipment works out, because it's going to really play a part in what we do going into the future. And that's just a little bit of a hint, and I'm going to just leave it at that. All right. So coming up next year on the Power Play Post Show, I'm very excited to be talking to him, because he and I are very old Binghamton hockey fans, and I love the connection that we've created now that we cover, obviously, the Black Bears, and of course, he covers more of the league. He is from the Fed League Flash. He is Gary Ryan. We'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Hi, this is Don Biggs from the 92-93 Binghamton Rangers. Hi, this is Brandon Buczynski.
This is Grady Wittenberg, the voice of the Binghamton Senators, and you're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. I am very excited right now. And the reason why I'm excited is because I'm playing with a new toy here. So if everything sounds a little bit different in this interview, it's because just like in my regular segment, I'm using the new Mixcast 4 by Tascam. And I'm very excited to also be doing my first interview with that. And that comes to me introducing, of course, Gary Ryan from the Fed League Flash. Gary, welcome back to the show. Glad to have you on. There are potentially just 3 games left in this season for the FPHL, with 3 potential games left. That's if the Carolina Thunderbirds can make a run at it. Welcome to the show. It's good to have you on, and thank you very much for joining me.
Testing. Is this thing on? It's great to be here. It's awesome.
Gary, let's talk a little bit about Game 1 first. Game 1 was a very interesting game, as the Black Bears took a 2-0 lead in the first period. I probably think that a lot of people didn't expect that to happen, and yet there they were, 8 minutes into the game, and they have a 2-0 lead. Now, of course, Carolina did get a goal, obviously, about 6 minutes later from the last goal from the Black Bears. And that was really it for the Carolina Thunderbirds in that game. What were your thoughts of that first period on Friday night, where the Black Bears had a 2-1 lead at the end of it?
Well, I thought the thing that caught my eye was the fact that we had 2 goals on 2 turnovers, but they were pretty much forced turnovers, because Binghamton's forecheck was exceptional in that first period. It kind of cooled off a little bit after that, but that first, the sticks were just constantly in motion, and you could tell that Carolina was kind of rattled.
Yeah. Those turnovers that happened, I know people said, listen, all 4 goals in that game were off of turnovers, and maybe they were turnovers. But in a course of a game, there are turnovers pretty much after every play, right? Every sequence, sure. There's turnovers. So at some point, you have to say, all right, this is a turnover, or this was organically generated by one team or the other team. But it was a little uncharacteristic to see some of the turnovers and some of the plays that Carolina was making, almost reminiscent of sometimes what Binghamton does, like when they try to do the behind the back pass and it doesn't work out. You don't normally see that with Carolina, but you watched more games of them than I did this season. Were you kind of surprised in some of the plays, or was that just the Black Bears being in the right places at the right times?
Well, I think it definitely. The Black Bears, were in the right place at the right time. But yes, that was very uncharacteristic of a Coach Harrison coach team. They're usually a lot more deliberate as far as their passes, especially outlet passes from the defensive zone. And it just seemed like, I don't know if they again got flustered by the Black Bears attack or what, but it just seemed like they just made a couple of panic decisions and they ended up biting them in the butts.
Yeah, Kyle Steffen, Gavin Yates, they scored the first 2 goals. They're on the same line. They're rolling out on the second line with Don Oliveri, and the two of them hooked up pretty much, in sync within 3 minutes of each other, scoring those first 2 goals. Zach White, who's got so much ECHL experience, it's not a surprise to see him score. But then the guy that they got back from the SPHL, Blake Tosto, just makes a great play, unassisted in period 2. Again, a turnover, as everyone talks about. And then Tyson Kirkby, again, not the same goal scorer at all in that first game. Probably not a surprise to anyone because the Black Bears can spread it out amongst that lineup.
Right. And that's the really impressive thing about this run is compared to last year. Last year, Gavin Yates just went absolutely bonkers in the playoffs and got a very well-deserved playoff MVP award. And this year, you really don't have that. You have you have Oliveri, who's just a little bit over a point per game in the playoffs, and he's the only one. Everybody else it's evenly spread out. And I mean, at this point, I think that makes you even more dangerous because you're not relying on the same guys.
Yeah, exactly. And I think really also the other thing that it kind of leads to is that the one guy that is the front runner, even if somehow, some way, Carolina wins the next 3 games 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. I still think Connor McAnanima is the MVP of the playoffs. It's just crazy on how good he has been. But I think we've also seen just an increase in better goaltending in this league over the last 2 or 3 years, probably the past 3 years. And each year it keeps getting better and better because, first of all, Babic was good. We know how good Cavallari is. Maybe we didn't see it, in Friday's game, but we definitely saw it with Boris Babic on Saturday's game. But when the offense is spread out so much, and only Don Oliveri, who's turned into an assist machine here in the playoffs, it looks like Connor could be, and if they win on Friday, it's an easy bet that he's the MVP.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have not seen this level of goalie performance since the 2018 to 2019 season. Carolina had Christian Pavlas, and had a very identical record, had a 30-3 win-loss record during the regular season, just like Connor, and led the league with a 1.77 goals against, and that really set the standard. And now we're seeing somebody who's not only matching it, but maybe even doing it better. It's incredible to see.
Yeah, if they win this in 3. Okay, and they sweep them. Is this season as impressive or more impressive than Carolina's 2018 and 2019 season?
I think it's even more impressive because
the league is better now. Exactly.
The competition is better. There's more teams. So right there, your odds go down. You're facing more competition. Yeah. But the fact that we faced adversity with suspensions and injuries, quite a significant amount of injuries that we had this year. And we still overcame, and we're still 10 games better than we were last year. It's definitely more impressive in my eyes.
Only one penalty, a delay of game penalty to Jesse Anderson in game 1. I know that you're always going to have a couple of people that say, oh, well, the refs should have called this or the refs should have called that, either on this side or that side. I thought it was a very well-played game between the two sides, and you just can't argue. If someone took a baseball swing to someone's head, of course, you can't argue that. That's a call, right? But you can't also argue the flip over, the delay of game. It's a penalty that I've hated since they put it into hockey years and years and years ago. But they were trying to curb guys from getting a break, slowing the game down, from doing that by calling it a penalty. But your thoughts on the penalty calls in the first game, because there was literally just one. Did you think there was an advantage for one team or the other with no calls?
I'm sorry, I lost you there for a little bit.
Oh.
I don't know what happened. Anyway, I think I get the gist of where you were going. I looked at game one, and there wasn't a whole lot of what I would call excessive physicality.
Sure.
Now, both teams were physical. There were, your usual shoulder to shoulders and hip to hips and, crashing along the boards, but, it wasn't out of control. I mean, it was very controlled. And, so I really don't feel like anything needed to be called in that first game. There were a couple of little hacks and whacks and just normal flow of the game type of stuff. And my thought was, do you really want to send somebody to the box just because, you got, a little tap on the back of your calf?
Sure.
Really, are we going to go there? So I was very glad to see that. Obviously, game two, the physicality ramped up. There was a lot more intent, I think, with both teams, but especially with Carolina in that first period. They wanted to try and make a statement. Binghamton bid on a couple things with some retaliatory stuff, got themselves into the sin bin a couple times, but I didn't have a problem with those calls either. The Binghamton Black Bears fan in me is sitting going, well, both should go, but, it's always the retaliatory penalty that gets called. So it wasn't a surprise either.
Gary, they also mentioned on the Fed site that these referees, some of them have D1 experience and they have AHL experience. So these are better maybe referees than on the day-to-day that we would normally have in the Fed. Yeah.
Yeah. I think what I saw a lot of complaining from Carolina fans. And I think what threw them is you've got to remember that even with an enormous amount of experience, which these officials that have been hand chosen do have, that each referee has tendencies. Some like to call a tighter game, some don't. And now Crawford wasn't in game one, but he was in game two.
Yeah. And
we saw a tighter called game. We've seen Crawford a number of times in the arena, and it's been the same thing. That's just his tendency. He likes to make sure that things aren't getting out of control. He wants to, so to speak, nip things in the bud before it develops into something ugly. So again, it wasn't a surprise, and I really didn't have a problem with it. I figured, we're going to see some more calls. But that also, I think, just was a result of the ramped up physicality in game two compared to game one.
How good was Boris Babick and Connor McAnanama in Saturday night's game?
That was incredible. There were, I don't remember the exact count, but it was 7 games this year during the regular season in the league. But this was just mind-blowing. I thought the goaltending was better in this game than the game back in March that we won 1-0.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic game. But both goaltenders, think about it. Babick, a couple times, he had to he was on the seat of his pants, and he's still reaching out and flashing the leather. You had McAnanama making saves while he had 2 guys on him. Just incredible saves. I can't think of a better goaltending performance in the Fed in all the games I've watched off the top of my head.
Yeah, and we're talking about 85 shots between the two teams, and it was split pretty evenly. Binghamton had 43 shots. Carolina had 42 shots. That's how close this game was between the two teams. They both had 4 power play opportunities each, and neither obviously capitalized on that. And then you have the goal from Zach Sirota. And one of the things that I wrote about in my game after report is you always continue with the play no matter what is going on. Your thoughts on that goal, because I know people are going to talk about the offsides. Nick Swain's leg looks like it's off the line when Gavin Yates still is controlling the puck, and we can't see it in the video feed. So we have to rely on the linesmen and what they saw. So your thoughts on that, because I know in your video you were like, okay, yeah, it was offsides, right? And it probably shouldn't have been a goal. But when you look at it from my standpoint, I'm watching the video. I looked at both video feeds. The Binghamton one wasn't even closed. You couldn't see anything. The Carolina at least had Nick Swain and Gavin Yates in the picture, but you can't see the puck. You can't see where the puck is. The puck comes up, I think, from Austin Thompson to Gavin Yates. And Gavin's trying to kind of, I think, collect it or kind of move it forward. But Nick Swain is doing one of those things where in the NHL rule book, you can have your skate on the blue line. As long as it's on the blue line, we can't really truly see that at that point.
Right.
Yes. And Brendan Riley even said, Gavin Yates on sides, and as he goes in. Yeah. But it's really the question of Nick Swain.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. People forget that it's kind of like the breaking the plane in the NFL.
Yes.
And that line is paper thin. It's the very front part of the line, and that's the way it is with the offsides rule as well in hockey with that blue line. As long as there is even just a portion of your body or the puck you still touching that blue paint, you're good.
Yeah.
And it was close. Now, in real time, it looked like an offsides to me. But when I looked at some still pictures, I can understand why the linesman waved that off, because we can't see where the puck is. We don't know the exact moment that Yates, the puck carrier, that puck fully crosses the line compared to Swain's foot draping back.
Yeah.
So it's really inconclusive.
It really is. So, but then Zach Sirota not giving up on the play after Nick Swain gets the puck down in deep behind the goal line, kind of finagles it in front of Babic. Sirota just doing what a pest is going to do, right? Which is get in front of the netminder, and boom, he just lifts that thing up and in. And what a goal for that rookie! I mean, come on! I mean, to be a pass, to be picked on by other players in this league game after game after game. It seemed like it went from Austin Thompson to Zach Sirota. That's what happened. Austin Thompson was getting his butt kicked every single game, cross-checked from behind, even by some goaltenders, which is kind of fun to see the goaltenders getting that physically active in that. And then it shifts to Zach Sirota. Now Zach Sirota is that pest that everyone wants to get away from the net. And he's able to capitalize. He gets rewarded in the playoffs with a goal.
Yep. And Sirota has gotten a lot of attention from the other teams throughout the league over the course of, especially I'd say, the last 30 games.
Yes.
They notice him. One of the funniest clips that I heard from the Carolina feed, there's one fan in general that just screams constantly throughout the game. And all you could hear was, "You suck, number 7."
Yeah.
He might not have known who Sirota was by name, but he knew him.
You know what?
So everyone's recognizing.
I think I need to cut that clip and have that on my sound bank. "You suck, number 7." That would be great.
That was so funny. But what a difference he has made. He has really had such an amazing impact. I mean, what is that? The third time that you guys have listed him now as one of the impact players of the game?
Yeah, we just can't.
Well deserved.
And we can't ignore him. We cannot. We can't ignore Connor McAnana. Listen, impact players, Gary, has always been we want to recognize people that aren't the first, second, and third stars sometimes, right? We want to recognize people like Dan Weber isn't going to get a third star for his defensive play because he's not putting up assists and he's not putting up goals. But Dan Weber and Jesse Anderson have been two of the cornerstones of the defense these last, I would say, 3 months of this season. They have played so well together. And, you know, Taylor and I wanted to put together something that would recognize not only sometimes the first and the second and the third stars, but other members of the team that are making an impact for this team to win games. And that's why Dan Weber got it. That's why Jesse Anderson has gotten it recently. And even Zach Sirota 3 times, he's never the first or second or third star. I mean, he was the third star in last night's game, but that's because he scored the game-winning goal. But realistically, how many times is he out there getting in the way of people? A goal gets scored, and Gary, sometimes people don't think about this enough, right? When a third line or the fourth line is out there on the ice, they are out there to do one thing, which is give the first and the second line rest, right? To go out there and put pressure on the other team, forecheck well if they can, or even back check if they need to. But realistically, it's to go out there, not give up goals, and give the first and second lines the rest. That's what Chris Ma and Scott Ramakers and Cam Clark have done so well this year.
Oh, yeah. And we've heard Coach Sherwood say, you know, these are energy guys. I've heard him say that, you know, use that terminology a number of times. And it really is because, I mean, they're not just giving Kirkby and Oliveri and all the others a rest. They're going out there and they're just creating so much havoc just with their energy, their physicality, their constant motion. You know, it really throws the other team into a disadvantageous situation. You know, they're trying to play catch up because these energy guys are out there making their lives a living hell. And then, all of a sudden, here comes your top line back out. Oh, now we got to defend against these guys again. Yeah, it really is. You're rolling all 3 lines has become such an integral part of this team. I think that's one of the reasons why this year's team is better than last year's team.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think that, right? Because, you know, they replaced like Connor Smith, you know, and, you know, they replaced Andrew Logar, who was so good on the power play, had 10 power play goals last year. But they replaced him with guys who have done exactly the same thing or just a little bit better. And Kyle Steffen being in his first full year, you know, he was in and out with injuries and a suspension. But my God, I mean, he still helps solidify that second line center position.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he doesn't get the accolades because he's not scoring 50, 60, 70 points, but he is just doing all those little things that are such big contributions to the team. Yeah. And, you know, that's the kind of person that you want on your team. If you're formulating a team, whether you're a new team or a veteran team, you want guys like that are just going to do all the small things the right way. Yeah. And, you know, if they score, it's just a bonus, you know, but otherwise, you know, you're still getting those role players in there to make a contribution and make everyone else better.
Okay, Gary, so we have obviously Friday night's game coming up. You've been checking the tickets. We know that this is going to sell out. The Black Bears fans are going to come out. You know, if you average 4,300 fans, it's probably about 5 to 6, maybe 7,000 people that have come in and out of the doors throughout the year, right? Because you have your season ticket holders, you have your regulars, but then you have people that come, I'm going to go to those 3 games. I'm going to go to those 5 games. I'm going to go to those 10 games. The Black Bears have a fan base that's actually larger than just the average of 4,300. That's the way I kind of look at it, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But let's talk about this aspect of it. What does Carolina have to do on Friday to keep all those fans quiet, the 5,000 fans that are probably going to be there, and get that first win against the Black Bears in a finals series, which they haven't done in 2 years?
Score. The thing that has just really blown me away with these last two games is the just insane level that the defensive group is playing at right now for the Black Bears. And I mean, Carolina has no answer. They just don't. I mean, we've seen Ford and White get some good opportunities, but you talk about the check line, Pastuka and Salak and Panacek, they haven't gotten any good quality opportunities. Jacob Schnapp, he's been held off the board. Baker's been a non-factor. I mean, it's just a total shutdown at this point. And even though Carolina got a lot of shots on goal, it was the perfect storm to go through for the Black Bears. The defense did what they could, and the opportunities that Carolina did get, Connor's there to stop them all. So I mean, the defensive core and the goaltending is playing in such a great symbiosis right now. Carolina really they have played close to perfect games, and they're down 2-0. And they have no answer. Do you think? We're just that much better.
Do you think Carolina has played better this year than they did last year?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Defensively, I'd say yes. They had some holes last year in their defense, and I think when we went to the finals last year, we were able to exploit those.
Right.
I don't really see Carolina as having done anything to contribute to their losses per se, other than those couple of turnovers in game one. So, I mean, if I'm Coach Harrison, I'm literally at my wit's end right now. What do I do? What more can I do? I don't know if there's an option at this point. And Carolina is an extremely, extremely good club. They're very, very good. I mean, they were the league leaders in the least amount of goals allowed this year.
Yeah.
By a mile. And they've played very consistently all year. I mean, they only had 11 losses all year. And they're just getting outplayed. I don't know if there's anything that Carolina can do other than stick to the game plan, maybe get in Connor's grill a little bit more.
Right.
And hope for the best. I mean, it's just do what you can and pray at this point.
I know that I talk a lot about perspective, and I talk a lot about Binghamton hockey history when I write about these games sometimes, and I kind of try to cultivate and bring in some of the history. But for you, as somebody who's also a big connoisseur of Binghamton hockey and have been for many, many years, what would a Cup repeat championship do for Binghamton hockey in its history, being that it would only be the third time that they've won a championship in this city, or the city's won a professional hockey championship? What would repeating do for the history of Binghamton hockey?
Well, I hit from a historical standpoint. I mean, it just cements itself into just more into the position of this is one of the best minor league hockey cities in the U.S., maybe even in Canada. I don't know, but the legacy is just it's like polishing a brass bell or something. You make it look really, really pretty. And you can't ignore it. You can't ignore the shine on that.
Well, let me ask you. Let me ask you.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Let me ask you this one question. Right, I wrote about it, and I think this is so important. And I wanted to talk about it with somebody. Is the Black Bears lost AHL hockey? Right. They obviously went to a lower level. And when that happened in Worcester, when they lost the Sharks AHL affiliate and they went down to the ECHL, they lost fans. Manchester, it killed the city's hockey in 3 years. We've seen it in other cities as well, where when they lose the highest level of minor pro hockey, which is the American Hockey League, the city does not, rally behind. This city has. And it says something that when a team or a city loses AHL hockey and yet goes to single A hockey, but then actually gets stronger and better. Now, obviously, it says a lot about the players and the relationship that the players have cultivated with the fans, but it says a lot about the importance of hockey in Binghamton, New York, across this, the United States when it comes to, I'm not going to put us ahead of Hershey. I'm not going to put us ahead of Rochester, New York, or maybe even Cleveland with the Monsters and all the minor league hockey they've had there in the past. Maybe not even Providence, because the Providence Bruins and the Rhode Island Reds were a big part of the American Hockey League for many, many, many years, right? But when it comes to the legacy of minor league hockey in North America, Binghamton is definitely in the top 5. It's in the top 7, if anything, because of how many players. We still have AHL records here, good and bad, that probably will never go away.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Somebody needs to write a book.
Yeah, I know.
But seriously, though, we have seen, small books and magazines and stuff like that, written about such and such a city and their legacy. And you see it a lot with the NHL, the legacy of Detroit, why it's Hockey Town, USA, and all that kind of stuff.
That's Binghamton, New York.
Yeah, exactly. But that's just here is this, little, maybe pretentious town of less than 50,000, and it's thrived. It's not just survived; it has thrived.
Yeah.
That is something that very, very few communities can say.
Yeah, I agree. Gary, I know you're going to be there on Friday night.
Oh yeah.
You already have your ticket. You are planning on being there for this. If for some reason, and I'm going to say this, if for some reason Carolina wins, are you going to be there Saturday?
Unfortunately, no. One is my limit. I wish I could, but I do have obligations with the family at home. So. One will be it, but I would definitely be here with my big YouTube setup and ready to go, and very, very, very enthusiastically cheering on the Black Bears on Saturday. Is
it fair to say that I think a lot of fans are going to be antsy and cannot wait for Friday? Like it's going to be hard to work over the next 5 days.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Antsy is not the word. No. And it's like I've got Red Bull flowing through my veins right now. And I'm kind of surprised by it because I thought, okay, well, I saw this last year. I've been waiting to see my home team win at home, be in attendance and soaking it all in, and it's almost like one's not enough. I need more.
I love it.
It's like an addiction.
It really is. Gary, thank you very much. By the way, I've got one thing for you, and this is from all the fans to and me to you. Thank you for
there was much rejoicing.
Thank you for all the work that you do, obviously with the Fed League Flash, covering the league, talking to all the general managers and the coaches behind the scenes, and giving us as much information as you can. It really does help. Where I understand the league can't be transparent about everything, but at least, there are people out there that are kind of working like reporters and journalists and trying to get information and trying to distribute that information. And if there's a general manager or if there's even a league official that's listening to this, because I know sometimes you guys do, don't look at what Gary and I and other people do, maybe Christian from even Minor Pro Hockey Hero with some of the writings he's done, and hopefully he'll keep writing. Don't look at us as the enemy. We're not the enemy. We can be your partners in crime, so to speak. Well, crime's probably a bad word, especially if people are listening to us from Danbury. But listen, but understand. Well, I'm just saying because Crime and Punishment and the Netflix special. I mean, I'm not saying anything that everyone doesn't already know because of the Danbury Thrashers, or Trashers. I don't know. Is it No, it's Trashers. Yeah,
Trashers,
they were the Trashers. It was a trash company. But either way, my point is like we're not the enemy. Don't think of us as the enemy. Think of us as a partner to help this league grow and get bigger, because we want hockey to succeed in Biloxi. We want hockey to succeed in Topeka, even though it's going to be very difficult. We want it to succeed in South Carolina. Matter of fact, I just got our first member to the Power Play Post Show Facebook group from Florence, South Carolina. So that was pretty cool,
That's awesome.
Because they're interested, right? They're interested. So please don't look at us as the enemy. Look at us as a partner, because we can really truly help you, grow the brand even more, whether it's here or in Monroe or wherever. So Parker Moscow, if you're listening, come on the show. Come on the show. Let's talk. That would
be cool.
Yeah,
it would be cool.
Yeah, it would be cool. It would be very, very cool, because he was a player just 2 years ago, right? And now he's like this big time, businessman, right? Wearing his glasses and his suit and purchasing teams. It's crazy.
Yes,
Gary,
indeed.
Gary, thank you very much. The Flood League Flash is one of the things I look forward to every single morning. I really appreciate it.
Well, not a problem. Thank you for all that you continue to do. And, again, I've said it before, but I'll say it again. You really were the inspiration for me just starting to get into this and do this. And so I very much appreciate what you have done.
Well, I am just a schmuck from Binghamton, New York, so whatever that means. So are you. Yes, I know. Gary, again, thank you very much for coming on the show. I look forward to talking to you in a couple weeks when the finals are over with and we can kind of break things down even more, okay?
Sounds great.
Perfect. And we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. Thank you very much for listening. Hopefully, the new audio. Now, I'm going to tweak it a little bit. If it sounds a little bit different each day or each podcast for the next few podcasts, just understand that I'm kind of tweaking this and making sure that the new piece of equipment that I have here sounds the best that it can sound. But thank you very much for joining us. Listen, this upcoming weekend, we've got potentially one, maybe two games left, maybe, and then a celebration. And that's what everybody's looking for, including obviously someone like Brant Sherwood, who talked a little bit at the beginning of the show about culture. That was from October of 2024 Media Day. And I really, truly believe that culture is going to continue to grow and make this team successful, including potentially winning their second championship in a row. So we'll have a show on Thursday previewing, obviously, Game 3 and what we should expect and maybe what the guys are thinking right now. What are they going through right now? We'll talk a little bit about that on Thursday. The Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show, whichever platform you listen to your podcast, and please subscribe. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just go to Facebook, search Power Play Post Show, and please join. Check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. Thank you to Rob Lapolis, our MC, John Petitucci, our musical director, and from the Fed League Flash, Gary Ryan. I am Bob Howard. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.